Hello and welcome to the Theater of Football. I'm glad to have all of our normal friends and family joining us back for another episode. And any new or relatively new viewers to our channel, please do the like, subscribe, and add content to our channel going forward. As of today, I know we're both excited. I'm here with my long friend Mike Odom. How you doing today, Mike?
Great. My Jaguars won. Undefeated.
Very good. Get one win in for the season. Hopefully my 49ers will have a relatively decent day today as well. It's so good to have multiple sports back on the television. I know, it was a tough time there, but now my day's starting to fill up again with having sports to watch throughout it.
Right you are. Glad to have the multiple disciplines of football back in our lives.
Talking about the start of Premier League soccer for this season. Were you able to catch the first game of the season, the Arsenal versus Fulham?
Yeah, I saw Arsenal Fulham.
Okay, well, I just thought it was very interesting how two players that we were supposed to have been or could have had access to, one we were interested in, actually did seem to play an integral part in their 3-0 win today, with William having 2 assists and 1 to the defender, Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel in particular was a player I kind of fancied. He's not world class yet or anything like that. I think he has the potential to be. Whether Arteta will be able to get him there, time will tell. So congratulations to him getting a goal in his debut. That's something you don't necessarily see as a center back. And he was a player I did like, especially for the price tag that Arsenal got him for. But we just didn't make a deal happen. And whether we were actually interested or not, I don't know. I was interested personally. But not going to dog on the player. What's that?
I was as well. I was interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not going to dog on.
Even if he isn't world class yet, I thought he was way better than Lindelof.
That's fair. But, I'm not going to dog on the player because he went to Arsenal. That was probably the best option from the other clubs he had on the table. And he ended up taking it. So congratulations to him. And got to give Arsenal a little bit of props because they were, I think, the one club that was willing to give Willian a 3-year deal as a free agent. We were not going to be doing that. Chelsea didn't even want to do that. And he had, I thought, a really good season for them last year. But Arsenal took the chance, and one game in, it looks good. But we'll see at the end of the year how that pans out. But at least they're doing some business down there in North London, and Manchester, we're not doing any.
Well, I think that's overall what I'm alluding to. Not that I think that William will be worth his weight in gold for a three-year contract like he was wanting, but the urgency and the willingness of clubs that know that they needed to improve for this season. And from initially, just on the offset, it seems like it's giving them rewards and dividends, where I just think our club have dropped the ball immensely. And once again, I think, like you said, I think it comes back to us not having a director of football, so we can focus and say, okay, this is what needs to happen, and not just be so slow to the mark on everything.
Yeah, I mean, we're just everything gets dragged on, no matter what we do, whether we're buying a player, whether we're selling a player. I think you've even said the one thing that Ed Woodward can do is come up with commercial deals. I just wonder, we don't really pay much attention to those, but I wonder how long those take for him to get done. So maybe he's not even that great at that.
And maybe some of his focus gets lost on that. I never really thought of that, but that's a good thought.
Just throwing that out there. Maybe he can't do anything.
Well, another one of the first games that I found to be extremely interesting from the start of the season was the single thriller between Liverpool and Fulham. I actually was quite happy to see, the start of the season happen that way. I think it's a good sign for Leeds. I do think that it's going to be one of those types of things where this is the way that they're going to desire to play, and it's probably going to be tough for them for a long season. But When you really think about it, I actually don't think that Liverpool were worth the win today. Sometimes you have to have those kind of games. I really do feel that Leeds deserve the draw, and I think it shows a tell sign of what some clubs can potentially do to put Liverpool on the back foot. How do you feel about that from watching the game?
I thought it was almost the same game as Liverpool played to start the year last year against Norwich. That game, Liverpool also scored 4 goals. Norwich scored 1. The Canaries could have scored 3 in that game. They had the chances to, and I think it was a precursor to both teams' seasons. Norwich ended up getting relegated, and we saw that performance. We're like, well, if they just clean up the individual errors and keep creating chances, the goals will go in and they'll stay up and no problem. Well, they weren't able to. That was clear that from the start they weren't able to clean up those errors, and the goals
that was sad.
Stayed dry. So, but yesterday, now maybe where it's different was Leeds was a little more clinical than Norwich was in that game last year. I also thought Liverpool looked complacent to me, and I felt they've looked complacent for a while. And that goes down to, again, lack of recruitment. Just because you are actually winning titles, you still need to add 1 or 2 players of the quality that are going to push some of the maybe. Now, they don't. If you look at their starting 11, they don't really have an overall weak spot. But you need to, as a manager, look in areas where you can kind of push the team to get better. And now Klopp's already whined and whinged about not having any money to spend like Chelsea can, City can, and whatever. I don't care. But they look complacent. And I thought Van Dijk's looked complacent for all of 2020, really, since the new year. So he got burned. He made
definitely probably since they won the league and how early they won the league.
Yeah, I mean, but even before that, I mean, by December, we knew they were going to win the league. But he's looked complacent. He looks like a player who's heard all what everyone said about him and doesn't think he can do any wrong. Well, he made a few pretty bad mistakes against Leeds and got punished the one time. But they looked all over the place at the back. There was no shape. So as far as your question about if that's going to be how teams play against Liverpool, I don't see it because it was the same thing, like I said, that Norwich did last year. So I think teams are going to approach it, how they're going to approach it. And it's going to be different each week for Liverpool. And do I think how Leeds approached it is how teams should do it? Yeah, probably. But I don't see the likes of Newcastle or West Brom or Villa or I don't know.
Yeah,
West
any of them doing it that way.
Do that.
Yeah. Well, to me, it gave me a little warm feeling in my stomach because it was like if the next couple of teams to watch them because they do actually have a little bit of a tricky start to the season. Liverpool do with some of the matches they have coming up. If the teams were able to watch this and replicate maybe some of those like long balls, getting in behind the fullbacks, maybe Liverpool would have a little bit of a rougher start to the season, and that might add some extra pressure onto them. With extra pressure, sometimes you make mistakes just because of extra pressure, and it give teams a chance to kind of keep them honest throughout the rest of the season. That was just my feeling of it. So we'll have to see how the rest of the start of the season goes, and how they turn around. I think they have an interesting next match with Chelsea, but once again, we're not sure 100% what to expect from Chelsea yet with all the new signings, and they probably will have a little bit of a kind of a learning curve there to get their team clicking on all cylinders. But I thought that to be extremely interesting. So going from there, you see all of these teams that we should be fighting against in a theoretical sense for the title or for top 4, starting off strong or strong-ish. And then you see Man United with their first club friendly against Aston Villa. Oh, my goodness. Do I need to say something? Do you want to say anything?
I don't really want to say much of anything at all, so I'll just let you keep talking. I'm
So
going
it's basically that bad.
ask out of this one.
So I think, long story short, and you may agree with me, you may not. I think that match just clearly shows that the lack of depth that we have, and why all of the Man United fans were so eager for us to go out and be willing and aggressive at doing business to supplement the good second half of the season that we had and the good push that we had. The sadly to say, the Lingards, the Mattas, they're just the Dallos of our kind of second options is not going to work for the season. It's just not going to work. Matt has been a very good kind of, I feel like, player for the club, but he's just a little too old and too slow now.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. Like, the game is now passing him by. And if that's what we have as backups, and our team's going to get burnt out because the starting 11, they're going to have to be in the game for almost all the game, every single game, or we're not going to give ourselves a chance if we can't depend upon people coming off the bench. Now, I will say the one signing that we did have, Donny van de Beek, he looked good. You add him with some more of our potent and strike force when they come back from internationals. I think that would be a positive thing there. But it was a little bit kind of horrible to see that we couldn't even get 1 or 2 goals. James, I don't know what we're going to do with him, because he had 3-4 chances that he should have shot better. Like, is there anything you can do with him to boost the confidence, to get him in kind of, we know he has pace for days, but if he's not going to be able to learn to be more clinical, it almost looks like a lost cause there.
So I don't want to write him off yet, because he did play well for Wales recently on international duty, and most of his chances, I don't want to say, well, probably most of them were down the right, and I don't think that's a position, a side of the pitch that he's comfortable playing. I don't know if he grew up playing there much. He's a right-footed player. And this generation of players, it's all about being inverted wingers. So he's more used to playing on the left-hand side. He's better over there. That's where he plays for Wales. That's where he did most of his time at Swansea. So, we just have Rashford over there. We got Martial, who can play over there, although he's very much number 9 now. It's just difficult for him to actually get a run of games in his favorite spot. I don't want to write him off yet, because he's still a young player, and he I can tell he's working hard. But he's got to start contributing more and finding that final pass.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you. I will say that much. He does seem like he has the right attitude in regards to the desire to work to improve. I just do also believe that right now that confidence has been shot significantly from the confidence he started off when he started off his career with us, and he was feeling like, yes, I do deserve to be here. I do deserve to be at this club. I can contribute to this club.
It's disappointing. I thought maybe having 2 weeks with Giggsy might boost his confidence. It looked like it did with his performances. But maybe you get back into the old rhythm of things and you start thinking differently again. Hopefully he gets it turned around, because I do think there's a player in there.
Okay. Well, we'll continue to send him positive energy. I'm going to get off the negative train of him, and hopefully he'll be able to find his form sooner rather than later, because we could definitely use him as part of the second kind of wave, coming off of the bench, and maybe all he needs to give people more of a chance too, instead of making such late substitutions. Even if you're not really as confident with him, give him a little bit more time to grow into the game, to be able to actually do something in the game. Give him the 70 minutes. Give him the 65 minutes mark type thing. And give him a chance to actually come in, and not just 5 minutes left in the game, that kind of thing.
That's fair. I agree with that.
Not everybody can be the super sub like him. Some people need more time.
Yeah, no, yeah, he could wait until the 89th minute, come in and get the winning goal. But yes, most players need a good 20 minutes to try and make an impact.
Try to make an impact. Another player that hopefully through the rest of our season will come in and make an impact like he did last season. Greenwood wasn't available due to quarantining. Are you feeling any potential red flags with hearing these kind of multiple issues of off the field? Kind of minor things.
I don't have an issue with whatever, I don't know, video or something came out from like a year ago at a party where he may have done some light drugs. I don't know. I don't know what. I didn't look too much into that. I didn't really care. He was 17 at times, 18 now. That didn't necessarily raise any red flags. I think him breaking the COVID protocols, and I am not keen on Gareth Southgate. I'm not going to go in another rant against him again because I think I've ranted against him.
I understand.
Railed against him enough, but I would assume that Mason and the rest of the players would have been told clear outlines of what they can and can't do while they're on England duty, and especially when they're in other countries on playing matches. So that is disappointing to me that he and Foden disregarded that message. But other than that, I feel like everything I've seen up to this point with his attitude and how I see him interact with the coaches during matches and in training videos. I don't see a player that has a horrible head on his shoulder. I just see a young player that is young and going to do some foolish things. Yes, he shouldn't have done shouldn't have had what happened in Iceland, obviously, and that's not good. But I'm not worried right now about his about any red flags right now.
His focus.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that right now. But
it will come in media as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe it's the media as well. Now they're trying to dig for stories because that they seem to be so happy when they can tear a player down, especially if it's a Man United player. They want to create that kind of extra drama for our club. So maybe it's that, and I'm just hoping that he does keep his head good head on his shoulder and keep focused, because you don't want a situation where a bad apple can start to spoil a good one. And when I say that, I'm talking about voting. He doesn't need to be, aligning himself with those types of characters at the national team level.
I'm not going to. I know he's a City player. I'm not going to, because Foden's also a very young player too. I'm not going to say that he's a bad apple necessarily either, because I hadn't heard much of him doing this stuff either. Not that I actively look at Man City tabloid stories, but I haven't heard of this either. So I just think it was two young kids who got together and hatched a terrible idea, and they paid the consequences, and hopefully they both learn from it and can move past it and move on with their careers. But in the meantime, both of them should stay away from reading tabloids, because you're right, now they're digging up every little detail about both of them.
Every little thing. Yeah. Okay. With everything being said and done, as you see the end of the transfer season approaching, is there anything that you think we should definitely kind of actively try to finalize? I know there's been a couple names that have been thrown out there. There's constant information about whether Sancho's not going to come, will come, and alternatives for him. So I think Thiago's the name that's been rumbling constantly. Have you ever heard anything specifically that you're either feeling good about or not good about in regards to him? And should the club continue down that potential path of being interested in him?
Well, everything I read from journalists haven't really said that we've made contact with Bayern Munich over Thiago. However, I checked the betting odds on Thiago, and he's far better than even odds to make a United move at this point, which doesn't make any sense. Well, I like the player.
Yeah.
I think he would improve our squad, but given the lack of other advanced talks or talks in general, that's not being reported at all. There are rumors that we have agreed personal terms, but we've heard these rumors with all types of players in the past. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. Like I just checked a little while ago, my website that compares odds on transfers, and he was 4-9 on to go to United, and I'm like,
wow.
That's like nailed on. Like it's gonna happen almost. So I don't think. And I go to Twitter, and I go to various football websites. I see absolutely nothing about him going to United, or anything concrete, anything real. So I don't know how these odds got shortened so quickly. I don't know. Maybe something's about to happen in the next couple of days, and it's just maybe a big thing. But the thing with Van de Beek is I checked his odds as soon as he was left out of the first friendly that Ajax had, and the manager said that, he's subject to transfer rumors, and his odds didn't shorten like Thiago's had to at that point. So it's kind of baffling because I do tend to follow the betting trends, because that tends to tell me kind of where stuff's going, because people putting big money down might have an inside source. So it's just one of the things I put in, but I still don't buy that we're going to buy the fact that we're going to buy Thiago.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. Another name that I've heard about, and there's been way less rumblings in regards to him than Thiago, was João Felix. If we had to go in for an alternative of a player for Sancho, if Sancho we weren't just able to finally reach a deal like people have been claiming we would, is that even a player that you'd be interested in us approaching?
I don't like. First of all, let me just say I think he's a talented young player. I like watching him. Having said that, Atletico Madrid just paid 126 million euros for him last summer, and we're struggling to pay 120 million euros for Jadon Sancho this summer. So I don't understand why we would bark down that alley. Now, if you're looking to go to Atletico Madrid for a Jadon Sancho alternative, there's the possibility of Thomas Lemar, who they signed 2 years ago for 70 million euros, I believe, or 60 or 70, somewhere in there. And he and Felix was kind of the same way. They're struggling to maybe adapt to Simeone's more pragmatic tactics. And Lemar is more of a winger. I think João Felix can play as a winger, but he would prefer to play through the middle. So, again, it's a move that I don't think would necessarily appeal to the player, since we just signed Van de Beek on the back of signing Bruno in January. Just however I look at that, I don't see him as a viable alternative this summer to Jadon Sancho, but maybe Lemar. But I don't know. Yeah. He's not necessarily a player I fancy at this point either. But that could potentially be an avenue we go down. But I'm interested here because I have heard that we might be interested in going in for Gareth Bale on loan from Real Madrid. Real Madrid subsidizing half of his wages. Okay. What would you make of that?
Okay. I was long kind of off the Bale train, but in that kind of regard, loan half his wages, I might do it because I'm starting to feel a little bit desperate. Sometimes you end up making desperate calls, and something to work out. So I feel a little desperate. I haven't gotten an invite for the dance yet. Let me take this one.
Jeremy, will you go to the dance with me?
Oh, of course, always.
I meant to ask you 3 weeks ago. It just slipped my mind. So.
It took this long, and Gareth Bale getting into the picture before you realized you may need to step up. One interesting thought I was thinking, though, was very similar to Ronaldo. If we were thinking about João Felix, a way with which we overall know that he wants to end up going through the center, like how Ronaldo is now. But Ronaldo started out honing his skills, getting better on the wing, and then being merged into more of a center attacking kind of player. If you're looking at it from a standpoint of a young player, that could be a role that he tries to go. Maybe even Ronaldo would encourage him to go that route of saying, okay, take on this responsibility, go with Man United, try to do a route like what I did. Does that make any sense to try that as an option or no?
No, not at all. I mean, he's going to stay
Okay.
at Atletico Madrid this summer, and he'll probably be there for at least another couple years for the amount that they paid for him. He's a talented boy.
Yeah.
Simeone should find a way to get the most out of him, and
Yep.
just financially, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm sorry,
No
it
sense.
just doesn't, because they just given the price they just paid and the fact we're struggling to
Yeah.
raise slightly
Get
less than
Sancho over the line.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, with
romantic.
all that being
You're
said,
a romantic. Sorry, you're a romantic. So that's a romantic.
I am a
way of
hopeless
looking
romantic.
at it.
I am a hopeless romantic. I want to think about all the great things that could happen.
I'm far more cynical. So I'm looking at 126 million euro price tag last summer and seeing us not meeting 120 million euro price tag for a separate player. And I'm not the math doesn't make sense to me. And I'm cynical and I don't see anything there at all.
Okay, so thinking about romance, do you think that we lost out on a budding romance with one player that we've let go out on loan, Chongi, and this could have been a player that we could have been using throughout this upcoming season?
Yeah, since he's made the move, I can't remember if he scored 4 goals in 5 games between competitive and non-competitive fixtures, or if it's 5 goals in 4 games. Regardless, it's a good rate of return. What disappoints me?
Plus, I think he's had 2 assists as well. If I read from an article in those same span of games, he's had 2 assists.
Well, there you go. But what bothers me, and I know like Ole has done a lot with bringing young players through, looking at Greenwood and Williams. But he told the media preseason last year that both Gomez and Chong were going to get looks in the first team, and that's why he wasn't going to replace Lukaku. And at the end of the day, Gomez got virtually no look, and Chongi got like what you were saying, like last 5 minutes of a game here. I think he started a few Europa League matches, but he didn't really get. It's hard to give a young player maybe a whole run of games, but Greenwood didn't necessarily get a run of games either, but he got some consistent playing time. And with the other options we had that were struggling, especially by mid to late fall on into the winter, he should have been a player who got more of an opportunity like he had promised. And I'm not going to talk about Gomez anymore because that ship sailed. But with Chong, if you weren't going to play him, he should have gone on loan last year. You could have got him on loan at a club in a top European league, and he should have had his loan move last year. Then had that experience. Then this year, hopefully, provide us with more experience and a good option down the right. I feel like we may have lost a year with him almost by sitting him out on loan. Maybe a year too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I do find that significantly disappointing, and I agree with everything that you presented. I think that we might have lost out on having a player that we could have had available to us to help us during this kind of continuous time with not a lot of transfers coming in, that we might have just let slip out for a season-long loan. And not even bring in or have anybody else that's there that's making significant kind of waves like he is right now. With that being said, hopefully he continues to have a great season and will come back with a wealth of new first team experience and be able to continue on with the club. Because I would hate for us to lose a player like that out to a German side in the long run past the loan deal.
Well, I think he of course just signed that new contract. I believe it was a 3-year extension, and I think one of the agreements, maybe more of a handshake agreement, was that we would allow him to go out on loan to get more playing time this year. And the fact is that Ole said that he was going to get more playing time last year. Maybe Ole said that to him before he was signing the contract, and Chong's like, well, you said that 12 months ago, and it didn't really happen. So why would I take your word for that now?
Believe it this time around, yeah.
rumors. So I'm glad he signed the new contract. Hopefully he plays a lot at Bremen and continues to play really well and comes back a stronger player because we could potentially still need that right winger come 12 months from now to fill the void.
Yeah, and is that contract locked that he wouldn't be able to come back in the summer? Like, would we have to? Is there any way that the club might have to do that?
I think it's just a 12-month loan deal with Bremen.
Uh-huh.
So I believe I believe with any loan deal you can kind of pay a small fee to the club and bring a player back, but you rarely ever see that unless I think Arsenal did it with Nketiah. He was on loan for the first half of the year last year with Leeds, and then they brought him back. So you saw that with them. After Arteta took charge, I think he liked Nketiah, so he wanted to bring him back to the club and give him a proper run in the side.
Okay.
But I don't think you'll see that with Chong. I think he's going to stay there for the whole 12 months.
Stay there for the thing. Yeah. Well, I will continue to romanticize about the club finally getting something sorted and done before the end of the transfer season, and hopefully it'll be one or two players and not just one or none.
Oh yeah, not just yet. Yeah, I'm hoping. I think at the bare minimum we need to bring in 2 players. I think ideally we need.
I agree with you.
4, but at the bare minimum at this point we need 2 players.
That's probably not gonna happen.
No. Nope.
Yeah. Well, that's both of us feeling that way. Well, I think that's the curtains starting to close on the theater of football. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time. It was so great to just enjoying our talks about the club that we love so much. And please do hit that like button. And for those of you that might be watching for the first time, please subscribe to our channel. And thank you once again, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay. Have a good day.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.